Grazie di essere qui, questo è il secondo anno e ripartiamo con un grande slancio e abbiamo un ospite che viene addirittura dal Giappone per parlare con noi, per darci i suoi riferimenti dell'architettura e per rispondere anche alle nostre domande. Noi vogliamo ringraziare per prima cosa la Fondazione Italia-Giappone che ci ha dato l'opportunità di collaborare con loro per la realizzazione di questo evento. Quindi grazie al dottor Donati, il direttore della Fondazione, e grazie al professor Riani che ci ha messo in contatto. Dottor Donati, ex studente di Pisa, ci tiene laureato. Come? Con lode. E, grazie anche all'architetto Adamo, che è la curatrice della mostra e tra poco ci dirà due parole. E, grazie anche a chi ci ha permesso in maniera sostanziosa, diciamo così, di poter preparare l'evento, quindi grazie a Marmi Carrara e Franchi Umberto Marmi, la Kaiser Italia, che oggi è qui presente. Marmi Carrara e Franchi Umberto Marmi purtroppo non hanno potuto, e grazie anche a Mobil Casa e a Montacchiello, Cittadella dell'Innovazione, e a Dottor Plot anche, che ci ha stampato dei bellissimi poster disegnati da... l'ho detto la Kaiser? Disegnati da Fabio Santaniello e da 120 grammi, che sono i nostri media partner, che ringraziamo sempre perché ci danno una mano enorme, e vi invitiamo all'evento che vedrete tra un secondo, che è 120 G Day, che sarà domani. Vi invitiamo a dare un'occhiata su Facebook di che cosa si tratta. Allora, io credo di aver ringraziato tutti. Che dice? Sì, per i crediti ci scusiamo perché le cose sono cambiate rispetto all'anno scorso. L'anno scorso trovavate per gli architetti gli eventi su iMateria erano direttamente certificabili. Quest'anno abbiamo avuto un po' di problemi, insomma ci hanno chiesto dei soldi rispetto all'anno scorso, tanti soldi, erano fuori dal nostro budget e quindi ci siamo dovuti arrangiare in questo modo. Scusateci per l'inconveniente anche della comunicazione sbagliata iniziale. Ho detto un sacco di scuse finora e quindi posso lasciare la parola all'architetto Adamo, curatrice della mostra Architettura Invisibile a Roma.
Grazie. Sì, come ha detto Lorenzo, sono Rita Elvira Adamo e ho curato la mostra Architettura Invisibile, che è al momento al Museo Bilotti di Roma, dove appunto l'architetto Fujimoto è uno degli architetti invitati ed è il motivo per cui anche abbiamo chiesto di un suo talk ieri presso la Camera dei Deputati a Roma. E tutto questo è stato organizzato soprattutto dalla Fondazione Italia-Giappone, che è un'associazione pubblica che è parte del Ministero degli Affari Esteri, e da un po' di anni loro promuovono vari eventi che si legano all'architettura e che soprattutto enfatizzano i rapporti tra i due paesi, appunto Italia e Giappone. In particolare questa mostra è anche parte del 150esimo dei rapporti diplomatici tra Italia e Giappone, promosso dall'ambasciata giapponese in Italia. E la mostra parla appunto di queste due nazioni, ma in due ere. Una parte è sulle avanguardie radicali e metaboliste degli anni 60 a Firenze e appunto in Giappone, mentre l'altra parte racconta gli architetti contemporanei sia italiani che giapponesi. Tra appunto questi architetti italiani c'è su Fujimoto come quello più esponente, e le due sezioni si dividono in tre temi principali che sono tecnologia, ambiente e abitare. E abitare è il motivo principale per cui abbiamo invitato l'architetto Fujimoto, in quanto le sue abitazioni sappiamo bene di quanto sono appunto sperimentali e vanno oltre all'involucro, oltre a quello che è la casa tradizionale, e cercano di interessarsi di più a quello che succede dentro, come la vita che che ospita. Comunque di questo ce ne parlerà sicuramente meglio su, e quindi lascio la parola al professore.
Allora, anch'io mi associo ai ringraziamenti, ringrazio anche tutti i colleghi architetti e docenti presenti, e un ringraziamento anche agli studenti del corso di laurea in ingegneria edile e architettura che hanno aspettato con grande pazienza l'inizio di questa conferenza. Il primo progetto che io ho visto su Fujimoto è un progetto di quasi 10 anni fa, che era un centro per la riabilitazione psichiatrica infantile, che ovviamente è un tema molto difficile per il riserbo e la delicatezza che un edificio del genere richiede. Tra le qualità che finì per associare a questo tema c'era la volontà di renderla un'architettura dreamlike, da sogno, e credo che questa qualità si sia poi mantenuta in tutte le sue opere successive. Che i suoi mi sembrano tutti edifici, non importa né eccessivamente la dimensione né il programma, che mantengono una dimensione onirica, quasi fanciullesca. E chiaramente però sono anche tutte architetture estremamente rigorose, c'è un metodo in questa apparente casualità con cui si succedono gli ambienti, con il quale vengono poi raccordate le funzioni. Infatti mi colpì molto il primo paragrafo della relazione che spiegava sulla rivista questo progetto, che si intitolava The Method of Being Random. Quello che mi interessa poi particolarmente della sua architettura, presente soprattutto nelle sue ultime opere come Canopia a Bordeaux, l'Energy Forest, l'House for Hungarian Music, il suo padiglione per la Serpentine Gallery a Londra, è il modo di lavorare sullo sfumato, sulla levità dei contorni, sulla qualità atmosferica dell'architettura, quasi questa grande capacità di trascolorare il manufatto nel paesaggio e nel cielo. Mi interessa perché è un modo di lavorare molto diverso dal mio e da quello dell'architettura italiana in generale, che invece è un'architettura che lavora sul corpo dell'architettura, sulla sua stretta alterità rispetto al paesaggio. Per chi come noi proviene dalla grande educazione dell'architettura classica, un edificio può essere metafora della natura, può contenere informazioni sull'universo grazie ai complessi sistemi geometrici che mette in campo, oppure può rappresentare tramite il principio della costruzione le leggi che regolano il mondo naturale, ma sarà sempre dialetticamente opposto ad esso. E mi interessano perché, come diceva prima la collega che ha curato la mostra, le sue architetture propongono una maniera radicalmente diversa dell'abitare. Un modo di abitare forse più avanzato, ma che comunque pone una distanza critica rispetto al concetto presente che abbiamo di casa, che poi è tutto quello che hanno sempre fatto i maestri, in maniera anche didascalica, in maniera spesso violenta. Penso a Le Corbusier, che impone ai suoi committenti il proprio punto di vista sull'abitare la casa, che poi dopo tanti anni si è rivelato essere quello giusto. Penso a Mies van der Rohe, che riduce la casa a un puro spazio neutro, o immerso nella natura o separato da essa tramite un recinto, quasi un assoluto spazio mentale. E mi interessa proprio per questo l'architettura di Su. Come agli architetti italiani è sempre interessata molto l'architettura giapponese, no? Fin dagli anni 30 ci sono dei numeri dell'architettura di Piacentini che quasi monografici, c'è tutta invece il passaggio tra le due ipotesi radicali, quella nostra e quella giapponese negli anni 60. Ma questo probabilmente perché l'architettura moderna, lo spazio moderno non sarebbe esistito senza la fascinazione di Frank Lloyd Wright per lo spazio continuo della casa tradizionale giapponese, non sarebbe esistito se Bruno Taut non avesse visitato la villa imperiale di Katsura e se non avesse misinterpretato quei congegni spaziali legandoli alle esperienze delle avanguardie europee. Talvolta è impossibile trasporre perfettamente o meccanicamente alcuni concetti da una cultura all'altra. Chi di voi ha visto un bellissimo film di una decina d'anni fa, tra l'altro ambientato proprio a Tokyo, che si chiamava Lost in Translation, sa di cosa parlo. Cioè, in una traduzione qualcosa, spesso l'essenziale, va perduto. Per noi europei risulta molto difficile comprendere appieno alcuni concetti chiave della concezione spaziale giapponese, principi come quello del Ma, ad esempio. Ma sono proprio quei principi spaziali che spesso, anche trasposti in maniera errata, anche trasposti in una maniera assolutamente diversa da quella originale, vengono poi trasportati da una cultura all'altra e producono l'innovazione. Pensiamo alle cupole bizantine, no? Che iterate all'infinito, in maniera completamente diversa, costruiscono lo spazio della moschea. Pensiamo allo scheletro dominò che invece costruisce da una parte le bellissime ville di Le Corbusier, dall'altra le città del terzo mondo. È per questo che io, di fronte a quello che Le Corbusier avrebbe chiamato lo spazio indicibile, sono molto interessato e aspetto con grande impazienza di sentire le descrizioni di queste architetture da parte di Su. Grazie.
Oh, shall I start? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Fujimoto, and yeah, I'm really happy. Finally, we have a projection, because yeah, otherwise I cannot sing a song, something. So I cannot do anything without any images. But yeah, I'm sorry. I speak in English, so I hope you to understand. Yeah, this time it's the first time for me to be in here, the pizza. And yeah, this afternoon I walked around the city to visit the tower. Yeah, almost falling down, but still keeping. It's really amazing. And yeah, beautiful area, and the city itself is very beautiful. So it's a little bit pity I only stay for only 2 nights, but yeah, tonight, yeah, it's great honor to have this kind of a lecture here. So thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, today I like to talk about several of my projects, but everything is relating to the topic nature and architecture. Because, yeah, this is quite like my deepest interest in architecture. Every project, small, middle, large, and different countries, different areas, everything is relating to this point, I think. So I like to make a question, fundamental question about those kind of fundamental things of architecture. And starting from the relationship nature and architecture, we can say what is the boundaries, what is inside and outside, or what is like the artificial order and the natural order, or what is simplicity, what is complexity, or what is the meaning of the different scales, the furniture scales, or much tiny scales, architecture scales, or landscaping. Those kind of different scales could be well integrated when we make a question about those kind of fundamental things. And this question is relating to my background. This is my background. I was born in Hokkaido. It's a northern island in Japan, and it's kind of the nature field. So I was playing around in the forest in my childhood days. And then when I get into the university, I moved to Tokyo. Yeah, as you can see, it's really messy, chaotic situations. But after learning architecture in Tokyo, I realized some kind of a very interesting similarity between these opposite situations. Because even in Tokyo, in the middle of the artificial, chaotic situations, you feel you are surrounded by many small pieces, and you can feel kind of a cozy feelings, which is very similar to the feelings in the forest. Of course, what you see is completely different. Appearance is completely different. But if you see something behind it, the composition of the things around you, and then the scales and the space you are in, and how the space are made is quite similar. The forest and in the middle of the back street of the Tokyo situations. And I feel, for example, in the small street of city of Pisa, or yesterday I was in Rome, so the small street or winding street in such an old city, it has also the similar feelings. You are protected in a human scales, even though it is completely artificial things, but you feel kind of a nice, cozy feelings, protected feelings. And at the same time, in the forest or in these Tokyo situations, you can choose your own way to walk around. So it's like an open field. You have a freedom to moving around. So you feel you are protected, but at the same time you feel you have a freedom to behave as you like. So those kind of a similarity was very interesting for me at the time. And then afterwards, I thought about when we think about architecture as an artificial space, we can also think about the nature as equal things. And sometimes we can mix them together or melt them together, integrate them together to create like some new but fundamental living environment. So that is my background and my background of the architecture thinking. So those many projects are really anchoring on these thinkings, but of course, depending on the situations, depending on the programs, we can develop the ideas in an unexpected way. And sometimes I myself I'm really surprised to see the jump from what we have been doing, and really excited to see something new for me. This is the pavilion in London. It was 3-4 years ago. It's the Serpentine Pavilion, and yeah, it's kind of a temporary pavilion in the middle of the park. And the basic program was cafe. But they request us to make some kind of the public space which allow people to come casually and then to behave as they like. So it's like for us, the challenge is to make a new public spaces or new definition of the publicness in a sense. Not just to make open spaces, but inspire people to behave in a different way or allow people to find out their own spaces where whatever situations you are. For example, if you are alone, then you can find proper, protected, isolated, but open spaces. And if you are together with the 5 friends, then you can find proper size of the spaces, good for the communications. And if you have 20 people, then it is different situations. But still, you can find some kind of a, how to say, nice way to behave that. So this is like an open, flexible, functional spaces. And then finally, what we did was to create the structures made by the really thin frames. It's a 2-centimeter steel pipes. Created the grids of 40 centimeter and sometimes 80 centimeters. And then some of them we have a glass plate, so you can sit on or you can move, stepping up or moving around. So it is like the cloud-like space where you can get inside or where you can use it as a furniture And it has a set territories, but it is not like a definite boundaries. It's more open field. Sorry. Actually, the process was tricky or funny because suddenly we got a commission and I went to London and then they talked about the basic programs. Okay. But the schedule was quite tight. We only had 1 month to think about the basic concept. So it means almost every week or every 3 days we have to send sketches to discuss about the concept with the client, the director of the Serpentine Pavilion. And there are the two persons, really strong characters. Julia Peyton-Jones, she's really strong woman. And then Hans-Ulrich Oblist, really sharp guy. Now we are very good friends after tough discussion. But at the beginning, we didn't know each other very well. So I was a little bit, I don't know how to do it. But anyway, I sent a sketch after 1 week. And then I have to make a phone call right after sending the sketch. And then Julia really screamed and said, no, this is not the Serpentine Pavilion. You don't understand anything about that. Gets angry. And I was really embarrassed. And I asked her, why? What's wrong? What is happening? And then she said, this is too much Fujimoto-like things. Okay, you appointed Su Fujimoto as a designer, but you don't like Fujimoto-like things. So I try my best to do something different. The next week, I send another sketches. And then, again, the Julia really gets angry more and screams, no, you are bad proposal, something like that. And then I asked again, why, what's the problem? And she said, this is too much not Fujimoto-like things. So, wow, no Fujimoto-like things, not no Fujimoto-like things. It's kind of a almost impossible, mission impossible or something like that. But after those kind of discussions, I gradually, of course, understand what they intend. Because this is, for them, this is also very important things. And they like to make something really like an important turning point of appointed architects. So it is should not be just a repetition of the former works, but at the same time, this should be something really from this architect. So I have to make something from myself, but something beyond myself. And it was kind of a tough questions, but if you are involved into such a tough situations, you can be, you can open your potentials. And after 1 month, finally she came to Tokyo at the New Year's Day, or the 2nd of the January. That means we couldn't have any Christmas holidays, New Year's holidays. We have to work a lot to make a presentation for her. But finally, she was very happy to see the final project. So it was like a nice memories, but rare situations. Great clients push you or pull you up from your level to the different levels. And that was very nice. And then finally, good for us, it was very, very good success. And you can see, it's like I thought about it's like at the beginning, it's like a hill. Thinking about the hill, you can choose your place to sit on or lying or together with your friends. So the undulation is inspiring you to behave or to choose your behaviors as you like. But just making a hill by concrete is heavy and pity to block the surrounding beautiful greens. So I thought I got an idea to make transparent hill. So it's hill, it's landscape, but it is transparent. That is why we use these frames to make a stepping things. So you can see, you can feel all the surroundings, but at the same time you find stepping landscape where you can sit on, or where you can climbing up, or where you can manage your behaviors as you like. So you can see how even inside it has a steps. And on the top right, on the top part, you can see one woman reading some books or something. She feels, I imagine she feels really comfortably isolated, even in this kind of really open spaces. Many people walking around, talking around, but still she could have isolated, comfortable, cozy spaces. And sometimes in different situations, the whole area is packed, like full of people. So they are sitting on the steps side by side, but still they look very, happy to talk to your friend, to behave, to do the things in a different way. So many people packed, but they have their own time. So it was very, very nice experience to see that. And in these photos you can see how we redefine the meaning of the wall or meaning of the windows, because it doesn't have any walls, it doesn't have any windows. It is just like a cloud-like soft boundaries. And then some areas getting really less dense, then it means it's getting really transparent. And it is quite different from the normal architecture, strong walls and then the windows, but always just the densities of the structures is defining the boundaries. And position you were standing or the direction you see, then the transparencies of the space is changing. So if you walk around, it's not the fixed, of course it's fixed structures, but then the experience is, you see some area is getting really transparent according to you walk, and some area is getting really opaque. So it is like you are in the middle of the cloud, changing, moving cloud inside. An impression is really soft boundary, inside and outside is strong, not strongly divided. So those kind of feelings is also kind of a new thinking of architecture, I think. And those stepping areas, it's like something between furniture and architecture, or more tiny scales and the larger scales. Furniture, architecture, landscape are integrated together, because all of them are relating to your human scales, human body behaviors. So we don't have to divide the categories, but it's nice to make the beautiful integrations. And you can see everything is made by the straight line, artificial industrial materials. But final experience is very soft, something beyond the industrial things. And it's quite amazing things, because the boundaries between industrial artificial materials and then soft impression of the nature or forest are melting together. Or we can say simplicity and complexity is now redefined. Really complex things, but really simple. It's something like nature in a sense. Nature has the simplicity and the complexity, and normally the artificial materials has only the simplicity, or like a bad complexity, or just a disorder. But in here, we have an order, we have a simplicity, but at the same time we have good diversities and complexities, which could make the communication to your feelings, and then you can feel something more than the normal architectures. So it was just a temporary structures, but in these situations we can make a questions of really fundamental level of architecture. What is order? What is the chaos? Or what is nature, architecture, furniture, architecture, landscape, or outside, inside boundaries? the interaction with your body, and the meaning of the function too. It has many steps, but in a sense, it doesn't have any specific functions. But if you make a communication with these steps, or if you make an interactions, then different functions, different meanings is coming to you. For other people, the other way to use it. So the function is not predefined. It's more like you invent your functions, or you feel your functions. So those kind of a redefinition of all the elements, or all the topics of architectures is happening here. That is why this project is very important for me, even though it's quite a small project. And this is a private house. It's kind of a same thinking to redefine what is the place, or what is the space for our life. Especially in this case, the plot was quite small. So if we just make a normal house, it's just a normal small house. So we try to make something more. And we talked with the client, and they talked about their lifestyle. It's not defined by the name of the room, dining room, living room, bedroom, bathroom. Of course, they had, at that time, those kind of a normal, conventional house. But they said they don't care so much about the name of the room. They find one corner of the dining space to read books, or they do some computers on another corners of the bedrooms or something. And then I found out, wow, it's nice to be free from the normal meaning of the functions. But in each corners or each small areas, you can find your own place to do something. Then I thought, wow, for them or for us, size of the room is not the problem. But more important things is to create the varieties of the areas, variations of the areas you can choose. So increase the choice of the spaces, not increase the size of the spaces. That was the strategy, because anyway the size is limited. And then we divided the plot in a smaller pieces to make those kind of a small plates. The smallest one is a 1.4 meter by 1.4 meters, so it's almost like the size of the dining table. And then even the largest one is 2.5 by 2.5, so it's just a larger dining table size. And then we stuck them up to make those kind of a, proper gap between that. And then finally, the meaning of the plate is changing, because sometimes it could work as a floor, of course, but sometimes it could work as a benches or tables or shelves or part of the stairs and something like that. That is kind of a, then of course you have 20 plates, kind of a, you have 20 different rooms or 20 different areas to choose depending on your situation. Some of the areas, like the areas we have the timber window, the ceiling height is quite small, it's almost like this. So you cannot stand in that spaces, but it's okay, you can just sit on the floor and read books, or sometimes you just put some of your books or staffs as a shelves. But some areas, the ceiling height is 4 meter, 5 meter high, so the variations of the space or the relationships of each different areas is quite a lot. And then every morning or every time you can just see the space and you can get an inspirations, and then you find or you feel the new way to use each areas. This is, this maybe looks crazy house, but it is really like a fitting to the human scales. And then it's open your understanding of the functions into the different levels. And it's quite amazing house. And then finally the clients really love it. And I'm really happy to hear that they said it's really, they are really enjoying. And they said every morning or every time they find out new understanding and a new way to use this house. So it's not like a predefined house. Everything is open, and how to use it is up to the interaction between your feelings, your body, and the spaces. So it has a lot of potentials to be used in a different way. If you have 5 friends, then each platforms, so it's like a 3-dimensional, theaters or something like that to make a chat. It's not the normal, but it makes sense. So it's almost like playing on the trees, or several trees, climbing up, and you find your own favorite branches to read books, and then you can talk with your friend on the other branches or on the other trees or something like that. So you can be more like an animal to freely moving around. So finally, everything is made by steel, artificial materials, straight lines, artificial geometries. But the impression inside is like you are in the middle of the small forest, and you can choose different trees, you can choose different branches as you like. So finally, it is like going back to the beginning of the definition of the house and try to redefine it following to your human body scales and human behaviors. So small-scale project, but such an important redefinition is happening. And suddenly, I like to make the scale really huge. It's one of the largest projects I did. It was just the proposals in the Middle East areas, in the desert. The site is 1.2 kilometers long, so it's quite big. And for us, new cultural background, new scales, huge, and new climate conditions. So it was quite exciting to be involved into such a unknown situations, because then the whole situation inspire you to open your potentials more and more. And finally, we made these towers, 7, 8 towers, almost 100 meters high, as a landmark, because anyway, it's a flat area, so it's nice to have a landmark. But it's not just an object, it has a void inside, huge void, which could work as a natural ventilation tower. It's like a chimney, taking the cool air from the bottom, and then hot air is going out. So it's like the natural resource ventilation systems. And of course, as a program, it's nice to have a big spaces. But the most exciting and important point of this project for me is these structural systems. You can see many arches and the circular shapes. So the repetition of those kind of arches and the circular things makes such a really beautiful, complex structures. And from outside, you don't see the glass because the glass line is set back. It means the whole structures, or whole of these kind of a complex structures, is making like the filters against from the sunlight because of the climate. So it is filtering the sunlight. The structure itself is like the sunshade, and then the particle of the light through the filters is now coming down to make the really beautiful space inside. And from outside, it's just as it is, but it works as a filters, and it works as a natural ventilation towers. So the structural systems, the landmark as an existence, and then natural ventilations, the climate conditions, climate controls, everything's are integrated in this form of the architectures. And interesting things for me is, if you take out these arches, then you can see the repetition of the grids, because this is a square shape arch. Then it's almost the same system as the Serpentine Pavilion, the first project I show. It is quite strange feelings at the beginning for me, because the Serpentine has really tiny grids, thin grids, human scales. And then in this case, it's just expanding 100 times or 1,000 times, but still it has the same systems. And then it has different meanings and more stronger impression as a big space, and the different meanings of the sunshade in a different climate conditions. So I found out some suddenly unexpected potentials open up to me if you are involved in such a different situations. And then I didn't want to protect serpentine ideas within our imaginations, but I just like to open it and then make it more like a let them do as they like. Then finally it's like this. It's kind of an exciting moment. You yourself understand unknown potentials of your own ideas. Because when you get the ideas, but you still don't know very well about what you are doing. And then during the whole process, you find out what it is. But in different situations, different meaning is happening. So it's kind of an amazing point or amazing moment of the architectural thinking or architectural study process. Anyway, yeah, it was a competition, so we made 28 panels, and sometimes those kind of crazy ideas to put the lake in the middle of the big void, to put the ships, because we thought, anyway, this is the Middle East project, and they have money, I imagine, so we can make whatever we imagine. So we made those kind of crazy render images. And it's really beautiful, translucent towers. But finally, after the submission, suddenly, we got an email that the competition, everything's just cancelled, everything is stopped. So, that's it. It's vanished. But, of course, it's pity. But still, I love this project very much because it is like there's something you didn't imagine before, but now you achieve it because of those kind of crazy situations. So, of course, if you can make it, if you can realize it, that's much better. But still, it is nice. Some of the situations, some of the project bring you up to the different levels or different areas. And I also enjoyed to play with those kind of a large-scale project, because at that time we didn't deal so much about the large scales, but after this we thought, wow, 1.2 kilometer scales is nothing for us, because we did this project. And now we are doing, for example, the 60,000 square meter project in Paris. I will show it later. You used to the scales or size or the bigness or something, then you can be more, aggressive, or you can be more, creative to such a varieties of the scales and varieties of the programs. So in that sense, if you do something, then it's like expand your abilities or your potentials. And again, coming back to one of the smallest project. It's a it's a public toilet in Japan. As you can see, it's a toilet in the glass box. And this black wall also we designed. It's like this. So it's like an oval shape black wall is making the territories, and it has a door, and you open the door, you enter to this garden, and you can lock the door. Then inside this black wall is like a private garden. Even the glass box toilet, transparent toilet, is only for you. Nobody can see it from outside because the black wall has a 2.5 meter high. So it's like a kind of a extreme situations, but the fundamental redefinition of the toilet, I understand. And when I get the commission, I was really excited And I really love to do it because it's just a one toilet. But the public toilet, I thought, is one of the very, very fundamental programs because it's public, but if you are inside, it's really extremely private. So how to do with this public things and private things, how to make it relations? It's really fundamental questions. And the site is like this, so beautiful countryside scenery. So it's nice to open the view, but at the same time, you should block the view. So how to open and how to close, it also has been the really, really fundamental question of architecture, I think. And then, of course, nature and architecture, such a fundamental question there. So even in such a tiny, crazy public toilet project, it is really touching to the fundamental questioning about the basics of architecture. What is public, what is private, how to open and how to close it, and how to do with the nature and architectures. And finally, our solution was very simple, to rethink about the meaning of the wall. Normally the wall is like that, and it is blocking the view, but at the same time it is blocking the air. Two functions together, melting together. But if you carefully split those two meanings, one is just blocking the view, and another one is just blocking the air. Then, in this case, the black wall is just blocking the view, but not blocking the air. So even inside of the black wall, view is blocked, but the air is continuous. So outside, it's open. And then the glass wall, the opposite. Blocking the air, but not blocking the view. It means you can have the open view, but you are protected from the rain. And then, two different meaning of the wall, with a certain proper distance, then it's possible to make such an impossible situations. You enjoy the open view, but at the same time you are completely protected from the view from surroundings. And then you have the minimal but the proper shelter as a toilet, but still you are in the middle of the natures. So if you question such a basics of the meaning of the wall, then sometimes you can find the new understanding, new but the usual fundamental understanding of the wall, and then you can play with that. And finally, this was done. The plan was very simple. The glass box, and then the oval wall. And then left hand you will see the door. So it works. Unfortunately, it is working now, functioning. But of course, if you are in emergency situations, it must be very tough toilet, because finally you reached to the doors of the toilet, and then you open the door, and then you will find another 15 meters to run or something. But it must be tough. But for now, it is working anyway. It's quite simple. And we keep the existing tree, those guys are existing trees, and we made these gardens as like a natural garden as possible, not to make too fancy gardens, to make like a nice continuity from the surroundings. And the funny thing was, after the completion of this public toilet, it gets famous, and then gradually, like a tourist using the big bus is coming to this toilet, not to do the toilet, but just to sit down and take photos, and then to make a long queue just to take Instagram photos. So 2-3 buses, it's like a tourist spot. And it's nice, the city government was really pleased to that. But then the problem happened, because it's like the tourist place. During the whole trip, you hear that, okay, next stop is a toilet. So some of them, okay, I can do the toilet. But when you are there, then you couldn't do the toilet, because long queue just to take, everybody's taking the photos. So, wow, they complained to the local government. This must be the toilet, but it is, I I couldn't do the toilet, so you have to do something for that to the city government, they said. And finally, the government decided to put like the mobile temporary toilet just behind the wall. So I think it was nice ideas to put the toilet for the toilet. So like the first time in the history they put the toilet for the toilet. Anyway, it's like a kind of a funny project, but I realized even in such a small, limited situation, small project, we can make a fundamental questions and we can rethink about what is architecture or what is our life, and then we can propose some kind of a redefinition or inventions of architecture. And this house is also dealing with the boundaries, but it is more like a blurring boundaries, like a Japanese traditional garden or Japanese traditional cultures, in between spaces. It has the big box, middle box, small box. So it's a 3-box, box in box in box house, and with many, many openings. But the interesting point is the opening on the big box has no glass. So the rain comes in and the wind blows. So as you can see, we have trees. Inside of the big box is outside. So it sounds like a little bit contradiction, but yeah, that's true. And then the middle box, it has the glass. So inside of the middle box is inside, but still you can see outside of the small box. So again, it's like a strange contradiction. Outside of the middle box is outside, garden, but still inside of the big box. So every time, if you like to define which is the boundaries, then the boundaries is escaping from you. Everything's blurring, the boundaries blurring. That was the intention, to create or retranslate our Japanese traditional cultures to make the connections or a nice continuity from inside of the architecture to the gardens, and not to make really strong walls, strong boundaries, but previously, traditionally, we are using the sliding doors and the paper walls and something to create the in-between spaces. But of course, it doesn't work in our contemporary life. It's too cold or something. So I try to reinvent such an in-between space in a different way, in a more contemporary way. And this is kind of the answer. So you can see this is outdoor space, garden, but still in the room, in a sense, inside of the territory, your territory. And this is the diagram to show clearly what it is. It's the left hand, you have a strong wall to divide inside and outside. It's okay, but if you have those kind of gradations, and then black is more deep inside and white is more outside, you can choose the in-between situations, half inside and half outside, or rather more inside but slightly outside, or something like that. You could more choice in your daily life if you can have those kind of gradations. So that was the simple intention, and translate into architectures in a very simple way. Just the 3 boxes, one big box, middle box, and small box. Even the sections, you can have big box, middle box, and small box. It's a bit crazy ideas to have big box enclosing house and the gardens as a whole. But that was very important point, because it's like it's amazing experiences. And you can see how different from the normal house and this house. For example, the house next to our house, it's like a normal Japanese house. But it is the same compositions. They have a house, and in front they have a garden. So what we did was just put big box on it to cover gardens and the houses. And of course, the house itself is like a smaller repetition of the big box. Then the boundaries gets more rich, and then the life on outside gets more rich. And if you get inside of the big box, you feel it's still outside, but then you feel you are already entering one big box, like a one big room. And if you get into the the middle of the small box, it is really amazing experience to see. You can see the layering of the boxes. Small box, big openings, and then the middle box, openings, and then the large box, and then the sky. So you have three boxes, really protected in a sense. But at the same time, as you can see, you see fragmented the sky. It's covering you. So you feel really open to the sky. An amazing point is you only see the big box through the windows. Then you don't see everything. You can just see several limited surface of the big boxes. Then I was surprised when I get inside after completions. You will, in a positive meaning, you will lose the feelings of the distance to the big box because it's quite just a white surface. And then depending on the sunlight or depending on the brightness or the weather, sometimes you feel the big box, ceiling of the big box is really far away, 50 meter high or something, almost like endless or limitless far distances because it's white and it doesn't have any textures and it doesn't have any, how to say, relation to the whole geometry. So you just saw the surface far on the sky, or sometimes a cloud is going through, and then cloud and the big box is almost like the same surfaces. Or sometimes, depending on the weather or depending on the light conditions, you feel the whole box gets more closer to you, much closer than the actual distances. So I like to say, the size of the architecture, geometries, is of course fixed. It's like an actual size. But your experience is something more than that. Sometimes you feel your house has the height of the 50 meter or infinite, almost until the height of the sky itself. But sometimes you feel really the whole house is really cozy, like a layering of your jacket, like things, and cozy, softly protecting you. Everything is like affecting to your perceptions. And then it is kind of again, we can say, you can have a choice which place to sit, deep inside, in between spaces, or more outside. And you can choose the areas depending on the layering of each different windows. And then some corner is quite open, some corner is quite protected. So it's really a simple plan, but it has a lot of the varieties of the areas you can choose in your life. So same concept with the stepped house in a different way. The floor is flat because the client is elderly people, so they like to have the flat house. Of course, it's okay. We didn't propose many steps, but still, even in such a flat floors, we could create such a varieties, diversities of the areas in the house beyond the normal definition of the functions, beyond living room, dining room, and bedrooms and bathroom. This is kind of even for me, it was really amazing experience to see such a, how to say, perceptions beyond the physical architectures. Anyway, this is a library. It's also dealing the layering of the boundaries in a different way. The whole library is made by the bookshelves. So, because I like to go, every time I like to go back to the starting point, what is a library? A library is a space for the books. So we started from the bookshelves to create like a growing the spiral bookshelves. And finally it gets like this. It's like a huge monsters of the bookshelf, 6,600 square meters. So it's a large library, but only made by the one continuous bookshelves. But more important things is we have many openings, like the previous house, many openings. And then you will see the layering of the spaces. because I thought it's nice. Of course, the library is quite functional space, but at the same time, library could be the place like a forest. You walked around like a forest. You don't have any specific books you like to look for, but you just walking around following to your inspirations. And then sometimes you encounter with unexpected books. That is quite exciting point of the physical, real library, different from the Google or different from the Amazon searchings, because it has a space and you move around physically in the spaces, and finally, physically you encounter with something. And then I thought it's almost like the forest of the books. But how to create the architectural forest without using any trees, physical trees? And then I thought about those kind of a layering, because if you have a layers and many openings, then every time you go through these openings, you will see the new views, new perspectives. But at the same time, almost like endless, because you don't see everything. You don't see the end of the walls. You can just see many, many small fragmented things around you. And then many fragmented things is inspiring you to, they are like invite you to come this directions or come to that directions. You can follow to your feelings to walking around. So of course the space is limited, but the experience is almost endless. And it's like this, a spiral with many, many openings. And finally it's done. Even outside we put the bookshelves covered by the glass. Hopefully in far futures they like to extend the libraries, then they can use those kind of bookshelves on outside. And inside you can see the layers of the bookshelves. Going up, oh, what's this? Battery? Oh, okay. So I have to finish it now? Do we have a charger? Or I spoke too much? Okay, yeah, we will try to, okay, I speak quickly. Anyway, this is a beautiful library. The ceiling is quite beautiful. It's like a skylight with a polycarbonate. So it is like a not strong, oh yeah, it gets energy. Yeah, anyway, I only have 10 minutes, so anyway, I speak quickly. Soft, cloud-like ceilings, and sometimes you can see the reflection of the bookshelves going through the ceilings. So you don't feel the ceiling as a definite surfaces, but it's more like a translucent feelings. And then, of course, the bookshelf is made by the timber, so it's really physical existence. And then the ceiling is more like a virtual feelings. The contrast is quite amazing to make you feel more open in a sense. And then you will see how the layering and openings and the layering openings is making those kind of the effect or experience of the endless forest-like spaces. Sometimes, yeah, or most of the students are just sleeping. But it's okay, yeah, I love this photo very much because she is representing how comfortable this space is. And yeah, from this point, you will see the really vast spreading spaces with many layers, and then you don't recognize which is the end. So you don't feel the end of the spaces. You can just feel the space is almost infinitely spreading around, and if you're moving around, then you will see another different viewpoint, another perspectives. So I myself was also impressed when I was walking around because, of course, I designed this library. So I felt, of course, I understand, I know the plan, but in my experience in this library, even I myself couldn't say what is happening behind this wall or what kind of a geometry we have. It's like a positively lost in the labyrinth of the books or lost in the labyrinths of the forest. So it is really beautiful experiences. Okay, so I have 3 more projects, going quickly. 3 of them are ongoing projects. One of them is in France, in the city of Montpellier. It's like a Mediterranean city. To create the high-rise housing towers, 50-meter high. And as you know, Mediterranean climate, like here, it's quite warm. Even in the wintertime, you can have a lunch on the terraces outside. So they said their lifestyle, traditional lifestyle, is more on the terraces, on the outside. So I like to respect those kind of what they have been doing. But of course, we have to make it like a high-rise building. So how to do with that? And finally, it was very simple. We just put the huge balconies sticking out from the apartment. Balconies and the canopies, shading canopies. It has 105 apartments, and it has 250 more balconies. So not only 1 balcony is for 1 house, but the 2 balconies, 3 balconies from 1 apartment. So it's quite like a lot of the space for your life is outside. From above, it's like this. So it's, in a sense, it's quite normal strategy. Apartment with balconies. It's quite conventional in a sense. But if you make it so huge balconies, and if you properly, carefully design the shape, this shape is coming from the site condition and the surroundings. Because we have a river, and then they had the green belt alongside the river. So we just like to keep the greens from the bottom to the top. Then the building shape is more like getting closer to the right hand, to the roundabout. And we like to keep the view from the existing buildings. Then we adjust the shape to keep as much view as possible. Finally, we get those kind of a little bit strange shape, but it works because we have many balconies. And finally, because of this shape, it's something beyond the normal box-like apartment, but it's getting more organic. It's like a pineapple or a pine cone or something. But it is kind of based on the normal typologies of the apartment, but definitely something new from that. And you can see how sometimes a duplex, the double apartment, has a double level terraces connected by the staircases. So it is actually the 3-dimensional field of the life. Beautiful view to the Mediterranean Sea. And and it is now under construction. Will be finished next year, in 1 year more. And I'm really looking forward to see not only these beautiful images, but I'm more expecting to have the life of people who are living there. Parcels or some chairs or some messy, strange things is coming out. And then the whole facade will be covered by those kind of, life things, full of life. And finally, the building itself is gone. It's invisible. But like a 50-meter tower of whole covered by the life of Mediterranean areas. That must be very, very exciting and the real architecture, I think. So I'm really looking forward to see that. Unfortunately, every apartment is sold out, so I even myself couldn't get it. But I'm really looking forward to see how French people or other areas, people from other areas, could enjoy these crazy balconies. This is a project in Budapest. It's the House of Music. It is a mixture of the music hall, music museum, and the music educations. 3 programs. But the main part is the music hall. And this is in the middle of the park. It's a big, beautiful park, an old park, so most of the trees is almost like a real forest-like trees. So we thought about what is the beginning or a starting point of the music hall in the forest. And then finally we thought, wow, no architecture, just a forest itself could be the music hall like this, provide a space, the light is coming through it, and then people start to play music and people start to listen to the music. That is the really beautiful things, I thought. But then, of course, it was a competition, so we have to make some architectural things, unfortunately. Then we try to translate those kind of the simple primary images into the architectural proposals. And then finally we proposed a big roof, as you saw in the first image, with many openings so that the sunlight is coming through it. And then on the ground level, it's open, it's transparent, open to the forest surrounding you, to have the glass transparent music halls on that. And then we put the huge exhibition space on the basement because it was too huge and doesn't require so many skylights. So pushing the huge volumes of the exhibition space underground and then open the ground level to the forest to put the music hall and lecture hall and entrance spaces, and then putting the education and administration on the roof, within the roof. This is the shape of the roof. So from above, it's really pure circular shape, but it's like a wavy shape to soften the impression of the strong geometries. And it has many, many openings. And some of the openings has like it is designed to fit to the position of the existing trees, so the trees is going through it. And it has a big canopy, and actually we have more trees, so we don't see exactly the exteriors, but it's more like experiences. You walk under the trees, and then gradually you walk between the trees and the canopy areas. It's like this, the meshing, trees and canopies, and then you enter to the entrances. It has a huge canopy to provide outdoor performing spaces. But then you enter to the entrance and you enter to the music hall. It's open to the forest again. So it's really like an experience without seeing any exterior shape of the buildings, but just a, experience or perception of the different ceilings in a sense. The ground level is very open, and you will see the glass is bended to get the vibration, not vibration, but the sound, acoustic, good effect for that. We are collaborating with the acoustic engineer a lot because it's a big challenge. And now we are almost finishing the design phase, and hopefully we could start construction this year. Okay, this is the last one. It's a project in Paris. It's like the name of the project is 1,000 trees. And it is like this. It has many trees. But important concept is to have the floating forest in the middle of Paris and the floating villages with a forest in the middle of the Paris. Because as you can see, as you know, the city of Paris has almost the same height. It's a 30 meters, 35 meters. So it's like a homogeneous, of course various and beautiful, but still the height is almost the same. Sometimes Eiffel Towers and something sticking out as a landmark, but it's almost the same. And we also had the height limitations. So we thought, we thought it's nice to have the floating forest just above, floating just above the city of Paris. Then you could have a view from these platforms to the surroundings to see the Eiffel Tower, or from outside you will see this forest just floating above. So it could be like a beautiful landmark. Suddenly the forest is floating up above the city of Paris, like this. So on the rooftop we have those kind of independent houses like villages. So it is also quite new things for Paris, because most of the building is like an apartment, beautiful, but it's like a big block. And then suddenly we bring those kind of small independent houses just above Paris, with a lot of trees around you. So bringing a new, in a sense, new environment, new lifestyle, new typologies of the living, and to make a beautiful contrast. I don't like to deny the Paris. I rather like to respect the existing Paris, but then, because they have these beautiful things, bringing something new is making a beautiful contrast to emphasize or to make existing Paris more beautiful, and then of course new proposals is more beautiful because of those kind of a contrast. And then starting from the existing apartment block, open the lower part to make a public forest, and then transform the upper part. It's like the village and the forest. This is the rooftop view of the Paris. I love those kind of the diversities and harmonies. And then we try to create like a new translations or respecting the existing city of Paris, but then to create the contrast of that. From above, it's like this. It's kind of the green monster. And as I said, the city of the Paris is like the city of monuments. On the axis, you have the monument. Most of them is like artificial volumes or some kind of an object. So we said it could be the monument made by the nature or made by the forest. It must be very, very beautiful, and the monument of the 21st century in a sense. You can see. And then we have a platform, and we designed the volume like this to provide the forest on the lower part. And the upper part is housing, and this volume has offices and hotels, and lower part is commercial, and the kindergartens and the bus stations and so on. So it's really mixed use, but still it is like making the statement, this could be something new from the 21st century to Paris. And now the design is ongoing. It's a crazy project, but the people in Paris and the jury members they love it. Because I felt, as I said, I love the city of Paris. I have an office in Paris now because of this project. But I love to respect really the city of Paris, the history and existing things. But at the same time, it's nice to bring something new with a huge respect to that. So it is kind of quite like an amazing balances, amazing contrast of the respect, but at the same time to make the new things on that. And especially this last project is really bringing the physical greens into architectures. So different from delegate relationships of the in-between boundaries or something. But still, I think sometimes it's quite important to bring such a huge scale of the forest as it is. But sometimes, depending on the situations. In the library case, we didn't use any trees, but try to create like a forest, only by the artificial things. But in this case, it's nice, because the city of Paris is very powerful. So it's nice to bring the 1,000 trees to create a huge forest floating above the city of Paris. So the question about the nature and architectures is always like open questions, fundamental but open questions. And it's really exciting to see how we can develop these potentials in a different way, depending on the situations, context, cultural background, climate conditions, and the request and programs and the size. Then our inspirations we get from this question is various. Every time it's new. But what we propose could be the new standard, I think, in a sense, because it is based on the fundamental questions, but it is quite new. So I think the most difficult things is like that, not just new, but anchoring or based on the fundamental question, fundamental things, is is the most difficult and amazing challenges. And that is why I like to based on this question, nature and architecture, and trying to create something new continuously. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Allora, grazie ancora all'architetto per la bellissima lezione. Adesso si apre lo spazio alle domande. Brunello ha un altro gelato in mano e funzionerà così. Voi fate la domanda in italiano, possibilmente parlando un pochino lentamente, così che io possa tradurre il più simultaneo possibile all'architetto in inglese. Se parlate lento riesco a tradurre il più fedelmente possibile. Quindi...
Io ho una domanda, per esempio, quindi...
Va bene, allora parte lui e poi alzate la mano e veniamo da voi.
Dunque, allora io ho trovato estremamente interessanti le sue difficoltà nel cercare la giusta genesi progettuale della Serpentine Gallery. E lei probabilmente le ha trovate meno interessanti di me all'epoca. E sarebbe interessante che lei rispondesse a questa domanda: dove ha trovato la giusta ispirazione per andare oltre il suo istintivo modo di vedere la Serpentine Gallery, cioè l'idea primordiale? Credo che il problema di trovare l'idea, l'ispirazione, del non cadere nel banale, ma anche di avere l'abilità di mettere in discussione la prima idea, sia una delle prime difficoltà che si hanno quando si inizia a fare architettura. E tra l'altro aggiungo anche che mi piacerebbe molto vedere gli sketch dei concept del troppo Fujimoto e del non abbastanza Fujimoto.
Okay. Yeah, actually it was, but yeah, it's every time it's very difficult anyway to think about architecture, something new. And in my case, the basic ideas of the Serpentine Pavilion was this kind of a stepping, like an integration with the furniture and architecture, and make an interaction between your human body and the architecture. It has been almost like more than 20 years. I have been thinking about that. After the graduation of my school days, I spent more than 6-7 years. I was just alone, in a sense. I didn't work for any architects. And I was just thinking about my architecture thinking, in a sense. And then, at that time, I started to question such a basic things because I was alone. And if I just pursue surface of the trends or surface of the magazine, I thought I will lose myself, in a sense, just following so much around. So I like to have some basics, in a sense. Of course, there is no strong basics in a sense, because anyway, but anyway, I like to, so I started to question such a really fundamental questions. What is the room, in a sense, for example? Normally you have a room and you have a furniture, but why not? Furniture is different from architecture, for example. Then it starts to integrate them, try to do something, but of course at the beginning it doesn't work, or it is not very well done, and step by step I developed the ideas. But not only from the ideas, but many of those kind of a questioning about the boundaries, or questioning about those structural things, everything, I have been thinking for years and years. And finally, of course, some of the sketches I sent was just a direct translation of those kind of previous ideas, putting the boxes with many trees on it or something, stacking them up. Everything's are relating to my former project. That is why the Julia said it's two Fujimoto-like things. And then not Fujimoto-like things was more like I forgot what it was because maybe it was too out of my thinking. But it was like I imagine it's more like trying to pursue something too much out of my thinking, then it is not deep enough. It is not like, how to say, it's just a surface maybe, I imagine. And then finally I thought, yeah, these final proposals came out from various different directions. I thought about such a hill-like things, and I thought about, of course, those kind of stepped areas, but at the same time, I didn't know how to realize it. And thinking about such a grid systems, at the beginning I thought, well, maybe it's possible, it's in a sense normal, and it's too abstract in a sense. So I was not so sure about that. But step by step, integration with the transparencies inside and outside, and the structural systems, and then the behaviors, and of course the varieties of the areas, and the everythings, I thought it could be something. But actually the first time I sent these sketches, these proposals, Julia said, I don't see anything, because the plan was very thin in a sense, because if you draw the plan in the right size of the 2 centimeters, it's all just a line. So she said, where's the pavilion? Where's the entrance? What it is? And then I explained carefully more. But then we sent some model photos, but what it is? And then finally she said, okay, I will come to Tokyo to see what it is. Just before Christmas. And it means, okay, maybe for 10 more days or for a week, we have to work a lot. No Christmas, no New Year's Day, something. But it was nice because anyway, at that time, the Serpentine Pavilion was like a dream for me. So I and my team did a lot, prepared the proper models. And when she came to the office, she quickly see the model, and then I quickly explained, and she quickly understand everything. And she said, wow, this is it. Okay, let's go, let's start everything. So that's the amazing point. She really loved to understand what it is. She really loved to have something amazing. But once she think she get it, then she really strongly push everything forward. So that was really amazing moment. I don't forget that moment. And then it's like the good client. And of course, I understand you were students. No good advice in a sense, because we have to work. And then sometimes you find it, and sometimes you don't. But I feel important things is, anyway, it's nice to start something. Because even in Japan, I feel most of the students just, wondering which starting point is the best starting point. But for me, I like to say, every starting point could have the potentials to be the great architecture. So starting point is not the question. You can just choose one, following to your feelings. But more important things is after starting, how develop you do throughout the whole process. So no waste your time to just wondering which gate is the right gate, but every gate you can enter. But after entering, then you have the right, process of the studying, and then step by step, or sometimes you need a jump or something, but continue going through it. Because sometimes you enter to the gate, maybe walk 10 meters, and you feel, wow, there might be nothing in this gate. You come out to choose another gate, walk 10 meters, maybe this is wrong, so come out. So finally you achieve nothing. That's quite pity. So I feel, through my experience to do the studio with the students, you just start. Any starting point, any gate is okay, because every gate has its own amazing answer. But you need to be patient. You need to continue to find out your own unique point. And then finally you reach to your own amazing, great architecture.
Buonasera. Quello che volevo chiedere riguarda, insomma, dal suo discorso, da quello che ci è esposto, si evince come oggi l'architettura sembra evolversi verso una certa direzione, che è quella del ripensamento totale della funzione e quindi del modo di vivere uno spazio, del modo di vivere in una casa o del modo di vivere in uno spazio pubblico. La mia domanda, e questa cosa si vede chiaramente molto di più in Oriente o comunque in paesi nuovi, in paesi più nuovi, più giovani come l'America. Per esempio è una cosa che noi qui in Italia non riusciamo, secondo me, a capire, non riusciamo ancora a vedere. Ora, le mie domande sono due fondamentalmente. Uno, fino a che punto si può spingere questo ripensamento delle funzioni affinché l'architettura abbia una grande evoluzione? Cioè, l'architettura si deve spingere a un livello urbano, in un certo senso, e quindi ripensare le sue funzioni in toto. E l'altra domanda è come convincere le persone ad accettare questo cambiamento per poter... Come convincere le persone ad accettare questo cambiamento, ad accettare questo nuovo modo di vivere?
Well, actually I feel there is no end. It's like continuing forever in a sense, because from 2000 years ago or 3000 years ago, people have been just thinking about the new way of gathering or new space or something, and try to make some tower, starts to inclining, how to do it. It's kind of the same things we are doing, or to make like a really huge dome, how to do it. Everything is like challenges by the curiosity in a sense. I think the most precious things people or human being has is the curiosity. Some like to have something you never saw, but just curious and try to eat something really smelling very bad, but sometimes good taste or something like that. Everything is like a curiosity, I think. So I hope it's like a never end. But of course, time by time, the focusing point or interest is changing in a sense. Sometimes technological things is more, how to say, curious for people and more like a quality of the public spaces, or sharing or something is getting more big interest. Maybe recently because of the internet and then the sharings and then those kind of things are affecting our thinking about the public what is the meaning of the public spaces, or what is the meaning of the individual private spaces or something like that. So it is not only the architectural discussions, but the whole society has some kind of the directions. But of course, the upcoming countries has its own theme. When I was in Hong Kong, they said the main topic is the density. Still, they are struggling with the density, but trying to find out something beyond the density situations. But anyway, it's like a good things for us is endless questions. We don't have any definite answer. We don't have any final answer, so that we can just continue. And we can find our own some new ideas. But new ideas is making the questions renewed in a sense. So it's kind of like so we are part of the history, and those kind of small inventions, small crazy ideas, step by step, one step by one step, is just making the whole history. So what we see in your beautiful city, or we saw in the city of Rome, is continuing to our activities, one step, or one small stone by one small stones. And then the second question was?
How do you convince people to...
Convince people. Well, I don't convince people. I don't want to convince people. I just like to propose something, and if they think really it's exciting, nice, then if they are clients, they can make it. Or if there's a public space, if they really love it, then they visit more. If they don't like it, it's abandoned, it's getting sad, it's of course pity, but I couldn't force anybody to do as I like. It's more like an open field, and my attitude as an architect is I do my best to create something I think is good or something is suitable for that space, but then we couldn't do anything afterwards. So that is why we have to work a lot to make it better. But I don't want to force anybody to do anything. That is really scary for me. So my architecture also, like a Serpentine Pavilion, is the good things of that project is it's like a really democratic open spaces. Doesn't force anybody to do anything, just make an inspirations or just to wait for people to behave as they like. So it's a really like an open, relaxing open spaces. And I think that's my personality and that's my architecture thinking.
Hi, my question was, most architects, either students or alleged graduate, then when they study, they probably already imagine that they're gonna just end up planning some simple houses for some rich people. At what point in your career did you realize that, oh, I can just have fun, I can project something weird and interesting? And my second question is, you said that you were born in rural Japan and then you studied in Tokyo. How did you end up with such a pure white style in your architecture from the fusion of the two?
What style? How did I end up with which style? Or
with pure white.
Pure white. What's the first question?
The first question is, when did you realize you probably won't have to do the same boring work that most architects end up doing?
What do you mean? Yeah. Oh, I think it's from my school days or from my childhood days. I just like to think something new. And then in the school, of course, some of the teachers try to force me to make it more practical things, but I just like to make my fun to think about some crazy ideas of architecture. Because, for example, the Le Corbusier or Mies van der Rohe was my hero. For me, they made some revolutionary thing, something completely new, and it was really like amazing for me. So I just like to create something. And of course, after the graduations, I just continue to think about that. Of course, sometimes I got a commission, but my proposal was too much, then I just lose the commission. Something like that. That kind of things, many things happened. But still, I like to keep my feelings to make something better than the normal things. Because that was very, very important. And finally, fortunately, I have the good client to understand the quality or the value of my projects, and step by step, I could finally get a good client and realize the good things. So again, we can be very patient. If you think you are making something valuable, then you can just wait for the client. You don't have to bend yourself to follow to the client, or you don't have to destroy yourself and to create some fake yourself to fit to the current situations. You can be patient, you can be modest. You don't have to, or you should not be arrogant to be such a, how to say, strong personality to pursue your ideas. You have to be very, very modest in a sense, because you have to doubt everything you thought, because it should be something good, and then you have to test yourself why it's good, why it's valuable, why do you think it's good, and then questioning, but after all the questions, you still think it's good, then it's good, or it's valuable. Then you don't have to make yourself going back. So that is kind of a, how to say, really fundamental but important things. And then the pure white something is not the, for example, the library is not pure white, no white colors. Or the Budapest, it is a metallic materials, no white surfaces. So I don't think, yeah, some of the house is white. The box and box house, it's relating to the light, reflection of the light, brightness, something. Then the white was very necessary. The thin column and a floating slab house, that was the decision was done, because if it is not white, you don't see it. It's melting into the background. And I thought, well, it's pity, because I made some beautiful things, so I like to make it visible. So that's a little bit, how to say, not so functional thinkings, but still as a wide meaning of the architectural activities, it's important to make it visible in a sense. In the Serpentine, at the beginning we thought about the mirror finish, melting more into the background in the greens, but then it's super over budget. Then I thought, wow, okay, let's make it white, because sometimes these really many lines gets really abstract. So it must be the beautiful contrast between the green trees and then lines. But if you get closer, it's not abstract things. It's more like a physical, real things. So those kind of a gap must be something exciting, I think. So the choice of the white color is always, it has a different, how to say, reasons in a sense. It's not just a, how to say, not just a style. It's not just a, how to say, yeah, after many thinking, sometimes we choose white, and sometimes we don't choose white. Thank you.
Buonasera. Allora, io studio ingegneria civile, per cui quando studio talvolta penso di essere talmente concentrata sulla struttura che poi mi dimentico che sto lavorando per le persone, quindi la ringrazio perché ce l'ha ricordato. Volevo chiedere, quindi, innanzitutto una curiosità, ha mai avuto problemi nel dialogo con chi cura la parte strutturale dei suoi progetti? E poi si è visto chiusura mentale, diciamo, da parte della parte ingegneristica, ecco. E poi un'altra curiosità, come è fatta, se posso chiedere, la casa in cui vive lei?
Well, actually, the collaboration with the engineer is very important, and sometimes when we have a beautiful collaborations, it is amazing, because you can get something beyond your imaginations. But sometimes it's very tough, because engineer just make a calculations and no visions behind it. It's sad in a sense. So if possible, I like to have such a beautiful collaborations to inspire to each other, because the structure or MEP or sustainability engineering or facade, every engineering is very, very important to think about architecture, not only realizing architectures, but as a basic concept of the architecture, such an engineering thinking is very important, I think. And I myself like to have such a basics or the bottom line of the engineering thinking, because otherwise we cannot make good communications with engineers. So sometimes I propose the structured ideas to the engineer, and then he make a feedback. Fortunately, he doesn't say it's nothing, but if you like to go this directions, then this could be the solutions or something like that. So yeah, to have the basic knowledge or basic sense of the engineering is I think very important to make the good communications and good collaborations with engineers. And my private house is quite normal, boring apartment house in Tokyo, because for now I'm more interested in designing other people's house by other people's money. And yeah, actually, honestly, it must be quite tough if I do my private house design by myself, then it's like an endless process, I am afraid. It's like I got one idea, wow, this is nice ideas, and then I make a plan and model something, but then a week later, you could have another ideas. I'd like to integrate this one, or I'd like to change the direction of this one. And then you can just constantly have new ideas or some crazy ideas, and you cannot decide because it's endless. And fortunately, the project for the other people has a deadline, and for us, the deadline is like the god of the creativity. If we don't have deadlines, we cannot make anything. It's like it's disaster in a sense. So I myself are really afraid about those kind of endless process of my private house. And then of course I don't have much money now, so I'm enjoying to live in the normal, boring apartment in Tokyo. Yeah, that's not bad.